This is the Lee Michaels Show. It's live Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. Thank you for listening and watching on YouTube and Facebook. We are live here in the studio, and my special guest this morning is Eric B. Ramsey. Eric comes from an interesting background. I'll give you a little brief, and then I'll have him chat a little bit about his background as well. But it comes from the world of sports. Yeah, he was a football player at Auburn University, and then he was drafted by Kansas City in 1991. And as luck would have it, had one of those he stumped his toe, faked an injury, got paid, got out of the business. I'm making that up. And he decided he was going to do something different. And he went from one extreme to the other, got into the film industry. Moved to Los Angeles back in 2005 and quickly found himself as a talented filmmaker, writer, producer, and has produced, 3 different films now?
Actually,
5.
Well, writer, producer, director.
Uh-huh.
And 5 movies, 2 features, and 3 short films.
And tell us a little bit about the first one back in 2005.
Well, the first one was actually about, it was... I was, it's funny to tell, but it's about my life, what happened
Okay.
When I was at Auburn, and promising my grandmother before she died that I would get my college degree.
Excellent.
And that whole film was just more so about, like a 15-minute film about just the promise that I made to her that I would get my college degree.
Excellent.
And everything that happened in between, and trying to fulfill that promise.
Okay. So now, where are you from originally?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham, Alabama. All right, you're down there with Lionel Richie and all the boys that came out of that area.
That's true.
All right. So what inspired you after football with the Kansas City Chiefs? What made you go into the film industry?
Well, initially I didn't go right into the film industry. What happened was, after I played football, people would say, you got that model look, you got that model look. I'm like, what the heck is a model look?
You got that look.
And so I went to an audition, and the job said, well, we're going to pay you $200 an hour. I said, I know what that model look is.
I can like this.
Yeah. So I started doing that off and on for about, for several years.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, even before that, I went into teaching. I was a high school teacher.
Wow.
At a school in Maryland, because after football and after being hurt and released from the Kansas City Chiefs, I actually went to started teaching in Maryland. So I was a high school teacher, and then I got the model look thing, and then I started doing that. I went to New York for about 2 months, and for some reason I just couldn't get in the New York state of mind.
Yeah,
and,
that's a tough one.
Being from Alabama, and being nice and
totally
polite
different.
and everything. And people are like, what are you doing? We don't do that here. I said, I'm sorry for being nice. so I really didn't like that so much. And then I kept teaching. I started doing case management, working with kids in foster care, in the juvenile justice system, just several different things that my passion was, for working with young people. Growing up poor in the projects in Alabama, I always had a fixation with dealing with people who considered at risk.
Okay.
And so I continued to do that for several years, and then the acting bug came. I said, well, I'm modeling, I got to do more than want to just model.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into acting, and then eventually I decided to, out of the blue, I decided to move to California.
Now, did you go through some acting classes or no?
To this day, I haven't taken one acting class.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I've been lucky that people haven't asked me to
show
too much wide range of acting. So, and when you make your own film, I think that's the best teaching that you can get anyway. Because through making those 5 films, I've actually been in 3 or 4 of them myself.
So, but it seems you got an interesting story here for someone who didn't have any. In school, you didn't have any film training or anything like that?
I have a degree in criminology.
Wow. So, I mean, that's like way apart. So,
yeah.
Wow.
I think what happened was that I've always, growing up, I was always a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
And, as a good writer, you have to be a good listener. So I listened to different things, that occurred,
Sure.
Not only in my background, but just in other people, my friends' background growing up. I just had a captive imagination, and it allowed me to just take that forward in the writing. and another thing that I could do really well, and that I just put that all in one, big ball, and it
Right.
just started happening for me. And
Now, tell me a little bit about some of the movies that you've done, and to kind of refresh any of The Promise, My Brother's Keeper, and Black Rain.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, the promise, like I said, it's about the promise, definitely a promise I made to my grandmother. I
Mhm.
get my college degree. My brother's keeper was actually a story about well, I made it up, but it was still based on the life of my younger brother and myself, and
Okay.
almost similar to my present movie, Cain and Abel, because for some reason I'm his Abel, and so I just decided to do that just based on that relationship.
Okay.
And then Black Rain actually was based on a book cover that I was on. The guy who wrote the book asked me and my company to make a movie out of it with him. And so we decided to do Black
Okay.
Rain. And since I look like the main character, why not just play him?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do you like to do, or do you miss sports, football? Do you miss it?
Not really.
Not
I think
really?
as long as my Cowboys are doing well, then I love
All right.
football.
You my main man. Cowboys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Then I love football, but when they're having
Real Cowboy fan.
when they're having a bad season, then I kind of miss it because I feel like I can
Like
get
it-
out there and help it.
Exactly. Me too. And I never played football.
But,
But yeah, I'm a Cowboy fan, so that's interesting. Now, what do you now? You're a writer, you're an actor, you're a producer,
and director.
and director.
Yes, sir.
What do you enjoy the most out of those four categories?
The writing, producing, and directing.
Okay.
And I thoroughly enjoy starting a movie from concept to creation. I think that's an amazing process.
Mhm.
Because give you an example, my present movie, Cannibal, what happened was I was talking to one of the actresses, and she plays a lady by the name of Rhonda Mormon. She plays Eve in the movie, but the way everything happened was she came to me and she was like, Ramsey, I was like, what, Rhonda? What do you want? She said, in your next movie, I want to be in jail. Like, in jail?
In jail?
What does that mean?
Making a request.
Right, so she's like, I want to be in jail. I want to be in jail. So, true story, and the next day I called, I said, Rhonda, I got it. I said, you're going to be in jail, but you're going to be Eve, and the movie's going to be Adam and Eve, and their sons, Cain and Abel.
Wow.
I mean, and 2 months later, I had 91 pages.
So you're taking a biblical story, bringing it kind of into today's, right, and where are you going with that? Without telling the whole story.
Well, where I went with it.
How you make that connection?
Well, by making it modern day, what I did was like she asked me, I put Eve in jail and I put Adam in jail, and I just had Cain, run them up doing several things that, as he did in the Bible, I made him do the same thing in present day, but just more so the fact that he was just a little bit more rough, than he was.
Yeah.
in
He was like Jambo in there.
Oh, he was cutting up. But I did, but even on top of that, I added another twist to it.
Okay.
And in the end, was going to be pretty shocking when they found out, that dynamic of
Interesting.
what happened between Cain and Abel at the end.
Now, where are you in the whole development process of the film? Is it done?
The film is done.
Okay.
We shot, and we started in October, and we ended it in wrap filming in February. We've had a wrap party and we've had a screening.
Okay.
But now we just have to add the finishing touches to it to make it TV and film or whatever ready we need to make it.
Okay. What's your plan in terms of distribution? Are you going to the big screen?
Well, the plan with distribution is just to whatever outlet right now that that's interested in making it happen, and that's what we're going to pursue.
Okay.
But the main thing is that eventually get it where it's going to be either Netflix, whatever outlet ready.
Sure.
So
you got options nowadays versus 20 years ago.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And even on top of that, we in my other movie that I do, we didn't speak about, Unspeakable Indiscretions, about victims of childhood sexual abuse. We're trying to package it where both movies get to be distributed at the same time.
Excellent. What now in the film industry? I hear it the struggles about funding and getting your the product the way you want it. And has that been a struggle for you in terms of being able to?
Oh, it's been an amazing struggle, but fortunately for this one, we were able to do some clever conversation with different people. My partner Nicole Carter, she came on to help with the financing, and a few friends from Alabama that I didn't even know.
You got excited,
We were
huh?
just friends in high school, and they said they believed in what I was doing,
Excellent.
and they want to see me do well, so they donated, or invested in the movie, and just I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't seen a check from my job and since October.
Okay.
So
So it's kind of a private crowdfunding,
yes,
more
yeah,
or less.
yeah, but
Nicole, you got money, huh? All right, girl. We better talk after the show.
so
You've been exposed.
and so yeah, we're just and so that's the most important. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy making movies, but like I told several people before, I don't make movies just to make them. Initially it was about
Right.
I want to put my friends in the movie. I want to do faith-based movies. I want to do movies that change people's lives. But at the end of the day, I want to make some money from it also.
Sure. So what is your biggest struggle, in from writing it to getting it finished and getting it distributed? What is the toughest hurdle for a film producer like yourself?
For me, I mean, I don't, because I've always been like the type of person, I don't let anything bother me or get to me. You know, once we can get over, the attitudes and the individuals that, don't want to bring positivity to your project.
Right.
Once I get over that, for the most part, I'm good. I don't, the struggle, the money's going to come, the money's going to be there. I've never, worried about that, because I always believe that the man upstairs has my back and that I'm blessed and highly favored. So a lot of the things that people struggle or have a hard time about, it doesn't faze me. My biggest thing is just worried about whether or not I'm gonna do what I need to do as the writer, producer, director, and making it happen.
Right. Creating that quality product.
Yes.
And getting it out there. That's phenomenal. Now, tell us a little bit about maybe some of the actors that are involved in your latest project.
Well, I spoke about Rhonda Mormon, who's a dynamite actress, and she's really good. She's in a lot of projects. We have Gary Anthony Sturgis, from Tyler Perry, several Tyler Perry movies. But Gary always wanted us and people to know that he's more than what he did on Tyler Perry.
Right.
So he's a dynamic actor, one of the best professional actors that I've worked with so far. We have Carl Gilliard in it. We have Cullen Chambers. We have twins, two sets of twins, Anton and Spencer Holmes, and then Calvin and Melvin Tenor. For some reason, I decided to choose, a bigger set to play younger than an even bigger set to play the older Cain and Abel. And Bill Mayo, several actors that if you see them, you'll recognize their name and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is an incredible idea, and I'm already visualizing in my head the transformation from the Bible days of it, the biblical, how it was written in the Bible, to a modern day interpretation of that. And that in itself is very creative thinking. And that makes it, you're doing two things. You're kind of, doing the biblical inspirational thing, but you're putting it in today's terms where especially young people can identify with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you never know. You might bridge something and create some real positive direction for
that was the point. That was
Yeah.
the point. My whole thing, like I said, I'm always trying to make life better for my fellow man. And,
Sure.
And through making movies that provoke thought.
Right.
Movies that provoke people wanting to do God's will. I'm all about that.
Now, there are millions of people out there that want to do what you're doing. What advice can you give a future writer, producer, to inspire them?
The biggest advice that I can tell people, and I always say to people, is that if you have a thought or an ideal in your head, just write it down. I mean, because people always say, well, I got it in my head, but who knows it's in your head if you don't put it on paper?
Yeah.
So I just tell them, if you feel it, just go for it and just do it. Because that's how I started. I just start writing stuff down. I mean, I could be driving and going anywhere, no matter how far I'm going. If a thought comes to my head, I just pull over and I write it down. And I just kept doing it. I read a book called Screenwriting 101, and I went from there.
Interesting. So, folks, here's a guy that has produced 5 films, and it came from a background that really didn't say, one day I'm going to be a film producer, but he was a good writer, so he had the basics of from that creative standpoint. And one of the things that I share with people all the time, no matter what industry you're in, whether you're a cab driver or an executive at a major corporation, there's two modes that you can live in. You can live in the survival mode,
Gotcha.
and many people are stuck in the survival mode and can't get out because they don't know how to jump off into the creative mode. It takes creativity to get you out of the rut.
That's true.
So my advice to people all the time is, hey man, be creative. You know, I use the phrase, think outside the box, because if you live in that box, that is your world. But there's so much more outside of that box that you can pull in and make that box bigger, or get out of the box.
Exactly.
Get out of the box and do your thing. So I'm inspired by what you have accomplished and what you continue to do. So what's the next project? I know you got two in the bullpen that you're trying to get out, but what's there's got to be one more in your head already.
Actually, there's more than one, but I'll talk about the next project I'm trying to. We're thinking about going between a horror movie. I mean, that's going to be one extreme, another extreme.
Exactly.
So a horror movie, and then we possibly I'm thinking about. I have a lot of female friends that are into like martial arts or combat kind of stuff, and so I'm thinking about doing a female assassin movie where like they're like the last people on Earth, not the last people on Earth, but the last assassins.
Right.
And so it's
So
only
true
one.
warriors.
It's only one job left, and someone has to get it. So it's like
Wow.
8 of them. They have to compete to see who's going to get it.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Well, when I finish my book, I'll send it to you, and if you think it's worthy of even a Polaroid shot.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's make it happen.
Thank you so much for coming by, Eric B. Ramsey.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming to be a part of the Lee Michaels Show. And when that film is out, please make this one of your first stops so that we can tell the audience again
Yes,
that, hey, run to the theater now.
Yes,
or
sir.
go get it on wherever it is,
Exactly.
whatever the distribution is. God bless you and keep up the great work. Keep that inspiration going because that will keep you going.
Thank you for having me, Lee. Appreciate it.
Bless you. All right, we're going to be back in a second. We'll take a quick break here and come back on the other side with more what's happening in the world today.